Good afternoon, gentlemen. My name is Arcane, and today I will be explaining my current variation of frames and what techs I think are going to be good in this upcoming banlist meta. The format which I think is going to be dominated by Dark Magicians, Blue Eyes, and Cosmos. Still, I don't think Cosmos are going to get hit very hard. They've sort of fallen off they just fallen off. I don't think they're played nearly as much as they used to. It's all Burning Abyss, Phantom Knights. But now, this upcoming format, and throughout the rest of the year, I think Blue Eyes are going to get tons of playtime. And if ABCs eventually make it to the, whatever it's called, the TCG, then I think they're going to be a huge hit as well, because they're basically like Dragon Rulers, like Machine Dragon Rulers, just grosser? I don't know, they're pretty bad. Anyways, I'm gonna get started. So, I'm gonna just quickly brush over the core Psy-Frame cards, just in case people don't know how they work. So, all the Psy-Frame effect monsters, not the normal monster, all the Psy-Frame effect monsters have an effect that causes them to special summon themselves from the hand in order to negate something or whenever a certain condition is met. So those conditions are whenever your opponent normal or special summons a monster, which is for alpha, activates a spell card, which is for delta, activates a monster effect, which is gamma, or declares an attack, that's beta. They all have the effect to special summon themselves and this level 6 normal Psy-Frame driver. This is important because their key gimmick is that they special summon synchro monsters on your opponent's turn, which makes them a somewhat toolboxy type of a deck, which is what I enjoy. So, the Psy-Frame circuit, it kind of works as both a synchro summon on your opponent's turn, which is the main effect, but it also has the best get out of jail free card you will ever know, which is an Honest-like effect. So basically, you can discard one Psy-Frame monster and target one Psy-Frame monster you control on the board. And the monster you discarded will give its attack to the monster on the field. So you can effectively have a 5300 attack Psy-Frame Lord Omega, which will get over basically anything. Which is important for this coming meta, because I think that Psy-Frames are going to have a good chance of becoming top tier stuff. Alright, so we've gotten over the Psy-Frames real quick. I'm gonna go over a lot of the generic techs which are run. Oh, before I do that, I need to just quickly. Psy-Frame Overload, banish one Psy-Frame monster you control or is in your hand. Target one card your opponent controls, banish it face down. It's once per turn and it's continuous, so you can use it on your opponent's turn and your turn, for as long as you have material. Anyways, moving on to the tech. So, I'm going to start with the normal tech, so the card D, the Pot of Duality, and your Psychic cards. So, card D, somewhat self-explanatory. Now, in the new Psy-Frames that are coming out, the Psy-Frame Accelerator, let me just bring it up. Psy-Frame Accelerator, Psy-Frame Accelerator, and the Psy-Frame Multi-Threader. Both of these cards will allow you to play much more aggressively as Psy-Frames. So you can run a deck that looks a little bit more like this, with your Psy-Frame Multi-Threaders and Furry Bandit to mill cards. Then you have cards like Psychic Overload and Psychic Trigger to banish and recycle Psy-Frames that you mill with Furry Bandit for insane draws. I've once had a Psychic Overload and a Psychic Trigger set, drew a Furry Bandit, milled 5 Psy-Frame monsters. During my opponent's turn, I had 4 cards in hand from drawing 1 card. Insane pluses. Anyways, that's not what I'm here to talk about. This is coming up. It's not current. So card D, pretty self-explanatory. You don't do anything on your turn. It's a free 2 cards. One tip: if you're playing Burning Abyss, bait out Beatrice's effects first. Do not, under any circumstance, normal summon a card D while your opponent has a Beatrice on the field and they're playing Burning Abyss and they know what they're doing. They will fall for that shit so fast, you'll probably cry on the inside as a Psy-Frame player. Also, if you know your opponent is playing effect failures, be wary of the effect failures. Yeah, you won't be able to activate the effects, but it's not as bad as harm. Anyways. Next, Pod Duality. Same concept as card D. I'm tempted to do a couple trial hands just so I show you how my thought process that goes through. But it's super situational. You don't want to use Pod Duality in some sometimes you have in your hand if you want to try and fade out something they have on the field. If they have like an Infinity, you don't want to play Pod Duality. You want to play something like your Circuit and play Overload, get them to play their Infinity effect to negate, then play your Gamma. You don't want to activate Pod Duality for fear that they will not negate, because if they're a smart player, they won't negate it, and they will negate the next card you do, which will basically screw you. So you need to be very careful that you know how to use your cards in your hand in order to make Pod Duality the most efficient. What else? Oh, I guess Drowning Mirror Force. Sorry about, for some reason, my YGO Pro doesn't work properly. Anyways, Drowning Mirror Force is pretty self-explanatory. You don't have any monsters on the field hardly ever at any given time, so it's just a free shuffle all attack position monsters you control into the deck. Now, whenever I get into the sideboard, you will understand why my sideboard is as it is. But this card's only weakness is back row removal. It's like Slip Rider, Spirit Dragon. Okay, chill. Anyways, but that's right now before the ban list. I'm not playing Prohibition, but I will start playing Prohibition whenever the new ban list comes out, depending on how it goes, because this goes great against Monarchs. They don't have much against it, but Cosmos, Blue Eyes, Dark Magician, Burning Abyss have a little bit harder trouble getting rid of back row unless they have a Twin Twister, but Twin Twister is easy to deal with. Now, it's not that big a deal considering Slip Rider and White Spirit Dragon are both monster effect. I can just gamma that and get my own monster, but if I don't have the answers, I need this card in my back row for backup cases. And sometimes it's just a lot better to just send all of their cards instead of getting a monster on one of my own monsters on the field. It's insane minuses from them as opposed to a minus for me. It's very situational. Right, now for the more unusual techs. No, I keep forgetting like 1 or 2 cards. Awesome, go ahead. Mieta. Go ahead. I keep forgetting techs. I'm so sorry. This is not the first time I've done any recordings, but I always forget stuff. So I'm very sorry about that. So we have Psychic Path and Psychic Field Zone. Now, a lot of Psy-Frame players don't run Psychic Path for some strange reason. For me, it works really well because it's plussing in my hand, and it leads to stall games, and it stops more things that they can do, as opposed to being the greedy get a monster on field card that Psychic Field Zone is. Because if you top deck a Psychic Field Zone, they have a Psalm set, you try to Psychic Field Zone to get something on the field to make sure you don't lose. All of a sudden, you just scoop at that point. With Psychic Path, it's just, you play it, you take 10 life points, get back an alpha, and you get back a beta, whatever you need, depending on what's banished. And it's also a way to get back your cards from banished overload stuff. I find a very good card. To each their own, but I think in a lot of, it's about 50-50. In a lot of cases, Psychic Path is better than Psychic Field Zone. In a lot of cases, Psychic Field Zone is better than Psychic Path. To each their own. But I try not to run 3 of these cards because holy cow, the brick. It's nuts. Terraforming, pretty much a given. I mean, what do I say? Terraforming. I need more circuit. Right. So a lot of Psy-Frame players have given up the idea of Wind Up Rabbit and Floating Ghost and Cherry Blossom. Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries. I just read the card text right there for some strange reason. They opt to go no normal summon monsters hit for card ID, no Wind Up Rabbit, no Necroface, no Malefic Cyber End Dragon. It's a special tech that I run. In exchange for running 3 Max Cs. Now, Max C is an ultra powerful card, don't get me wrong. And in Psy-Frames, it's pretty amazing. I mean, it's pretty good, I will admit. I haven't done too much testing with it, but I've played a lot of Psy-Frames, and so I am a little bit biased whenever I say that. Max C has lost me more games than it have won me. It's such a dead card in hand. And I'll explain a little bit of the mentality behind why I think it's such a bad card for Psy-Frames. So yes, Psy-Frames do rely on having cards in hand so they can negate stuff. But smart players, they see a Max C, they won't do anything. You play very carefully with Psy-Frames as is. So you play a Max C, they know you're playing Psy-Frame, so like, oh, I'm just gonna end turn there, because they know you're not gonna do anything on their turn. So it's almost a contradictory card. Yes, it gets you cards in hand, but a smart player will never play under Max C. An even smarter player will just straight up end turn after they see a Psy-Frame player play Max C. This is for this I don't know. Yeah. Right. That's why I don't play Max C. I run Wind Up Rabbit, and I started running Wind Up Rabbit instead of the card. Malefic Cyber End Dragon. I do run a Malefic Cyber End Dragon in. No, not that one. Oh, that's an older Psy-Frame deck. Let's see. Do I have an example? Nope. Oh, that's my Quasar frame. Sorry about that. Scare Bandit. Oh man. Did I get rid of all of them? That's a shame. Anyways, if I had a camera show you in real life, I actually have I have Malefic Cyber End Dragon sided. It's a very good removal card for stuff like Majesty's Fiend or Majesty's. The one that negates monster effects. Vanity's Majesty's Fiend. I think it's Majesty's Fiend. Yeah, Majesty's Fiend. Anyways, Wind Up Rabbit. It's very good in Psy-Frames, and I'll explain why right now. I'm not gonna say after this commercial break. No, I'm not gonna say that. I thought about it. Whenever people start doing YouTube, they have this mentality. They have this sort of thought process of how they've always seen other people, players, do YouTube. So whenever they try to do it, they just end up copying them. So I'm trying to get my own style. Bear with me. I'll get there. Don't worry. I'll get there. So, Wind Up Rabbit. Psy-Frames are actually. People say Psy-Frames are Starly. I'd say they're the fastest archetype in the world. They're so fast, you don't need to spend any time on your turn. You can literally do it all on your opponent's turn. That's how fast they are. I know, it's backward logic, but it works for me. Anyways, Psy-Frames love to keep the field completely empty, so Wind Up Rabbit is an amazing card for the sole reason that you're keeping monsters off your opponent's field. And with the way I run Psy-Frames, with Overload, we have 2 Black Rose Dragons, we have Dark Holes, we have Drowning Mirror Force. And with Drowning Mirror Force, people don't understand that Wind Up Rabbit is insanely good for this. Because all of a sudden they have no monsters on their field, Wind Up Rabbit can just continuously poke. And I can use Psy-Frame's Overload to keep continuously banish. Gamma gets rid of more cards. Beta is just a complete middle finger to all meta stuff. My phone is like close to dying, so I'm just gonna 2 seconds. Normally I just cut that out, but I don't care. I literally don't care. I'll have a little bit of humanity in my whatever. So I've explained Why Not Rabbit. It synergizes really well with Psy-Frames, not because he leaves the field, but because of the you have no field. Your opponent has no field. So Wind Up Rabbit is just that one floating card that they'll never be able to get rid of. And I used to not run it. I didn't run it for the past like 4 or 5 months, and then all of a sudden I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try it. And it is so much less dead in your hand compared to Malefic Cyber and Dragon. Albeit, it does take 4 hits with Wind Up Rabbit to get the equivalent of 1 hit with Malefic. But at the same, or is that 3? I can't do math. It's 3 hits, and that's even 4,800. But it's 3 hits, and Malefic can get you out of a lot of situations. However, Wind Up Rabbit forces your opponent to think a lot more, and it's a lot less stoppy, because with Malefic, it's card balance, and I know that there's a system Patrick Hoban came up with, designating roles to cards, but I think of deck building a little bit differently. I think of how every card synergizes with other cards that synergize with it. And sorry if you see the music in the corner here, that's because I have Parrot Seek headphones, so I can just skip music with my fingers on my earpad. Yeah. So Wind Up Rabbit is pretty good. It's tough to explain because for me, he works amazingly right now in this current meta. But Malefic Cyber and Dragon has won me a lot of games, so it's test it out for yourself, see how it works. Okay, the next interesting card, main deck Floating Ghost and Cherry Blossom. You guys probably all can feel it, but I think, and a lot of other people think, that Monarchs are gonna get hit bad. And because of this means that extra decks are going to be coming back. And with Blue Eyes and ABCs and, well, Dante's just there because out of principle, because Ghost Reaper was originally the way to completely middle finger Dante. But with Dark Magician, you can do other cards like the Ebon High or the. I just need to do a quick thing. I keep forgetting these card names. Where are you, baby? Oh no! Oh, no, I forgot names. Dear God. Ebon Illusion Magician. So Ebon Illusion Magician. You can banish Ebon Oblivion. You can all put these in your side deck if you need to. I don't right now, because I think I'm one of the few people who think Dark Magicians are going to be completely godlike. But main decking Ghost Reaper is pretty nuts, because if you know you're playing against a guy who has a strong extra deck, I guess, you open up with Ghost Reaper, do a bunch of set cards, whatever, have one Psy-Frame in hand, who cares? They do something, it's like, oh, they're playing Burning Abyss, floating. I keep saying floating. Ghost Reaper. You Ghost Reaper there and reveal Dante like hack. It's like, what do I do now? Or if they're playing Blue Eyes, you just go ahead, get rid of their Spirit Dragon. I actually have a copy of Spirit Dragon. I won a tournament the other day with not quite this variant. It's a little weirder. This is my after winning the tournament tweaking because it was getting boring. And I got a bunch of really cool trades, and I opened up a Mirror Force, so more reasons for me to run Drowning, because I actually won a copy. It's pretty nuts. Ghost Reaper is pretty self-explanatory, and with Psy-Frames, you can justify running it. I almost am tempted to run some level 6s, and technically I have an Azure Eyes, so I can always just go into Azure Eyes if I wanted to, and just bring back Driver every turn. I think that'd be funny. Actually, that'd be a really cool combo. So you have an Omega on the field, and you have an Overload, and you have a Azure Eyes. So during standby phase, during your opponent's standby phase, bring back Driver that was banished with Overload. During your standby phase, bring back Driver with Azure Eyes, attack. During your opponent's turn, you can use that Driver again. Or during your turn, you can banish that Driver again with Overload. And then on your opponent's standby phase, bring him back. On your that'd be a pretty fun combo. I'll get into combos in a second. How long are we running for right now? How long are we running for? 20 minutes. Dear God. Anyways, that's fine. Psy-Frames take a lot of explaining. Right, so next tech. Dark Hole. People don't main this card. Not exactly sure why. The top deck outage is real. I mean, it's not $20. You don't have to spend your fortune on a right Geki. It combos really well with Zeta. If you're in a bad spot, you can Dark Hole the field with your Zeta on the field. Use Zeta's effect to get back like a Beta or an Alpha. And depending on what your field is, what you know that they're playing, it can get you out of a lot of situations. Including whenever you have to, whenever Pot of Cupidity comes out, you use Pot of Cupidity, you accidentally banish your one Necroface, and you're like, oh shoot, okay, Omega, bring Necroface back to the graveyard with Omega. Then you use, whenever you draw out of the Pot of Cupidity, you activate the Pot of Cupidity, banish all these cards, and then you can use Dark Hole to send Omega to your graveyard and shuffle in Necroface back into your graveyard. And you know you're gonna pull it soon, so you just gotta make sure they have no back row to do stuff to you. And you'll be golden. Great fun. Combos, they're so great. Right, so we've talked about Wind Up Rabbit, Ghost Reaper, Dark Hole, what's next? Johnny Maraforce I've already talked about. Okay, Mind Crush. So, Psy-Frames already have a lot of control, but Mind Crush it's great. Basically, and this is the way that most combo-oriented decks run. It doesn't, I don't care what archetype you have, but oftentimes you'll have that, like a fairly brick hand, and you'll have that one card that saves you. And so, like, I'm thinking of a guy who runs Dark Draco Pals with Armageddon Knight and Shadow Dragon, so that he can get rid of back row and stuff. He wins quite often. And so what I can do is, if he has like a Twin Twister and he plays a Twin Twister, I negate it, I banish a card from his hand. He baits out a bunch of my stuff and I still have my Mind Crush. He activates Monkey Board. He searches a card. Once he draws a card, activate Mind Crush. Discard Skokobat Joker. And he's like, well, GG, I guess. And you don't want 3 of them, because then you just brick and you cry. Oftentimes, you don't want 3. Another thing, Mind Crush is an out to Chaos Max Dragon. Activate Advanced Ritual Art or Chaos Max or whatever. Chain Mind Crush, discard Chaos Max Drag. And they're like, well then, I guess that just happened. Alright, next text. It's great. So many outs. Necros, it's an out to Necros, it's an out to Cosmos. They attack with Farm Girl, search Dark Destroyer on the search after they add the card to hand. Chain Mind Crush, discard Dark Destroyer. They don't get a search. They don't get to do stuff. It's great. I almost think about running 3, but I'm not going to. Microcosmos. Biggest anti-meta card ever. It's so broken. You play this card against Blue Eyes, you play this card against Burning Abyss, you play this card against Infernoids, you play this card against any Pendulum deck. All of a sudden, they have no combos, they can't do anything. And you're playing Psy-Frame, so you can use Omega, to bring back cards. You can use Psychic Path. You can use Psychic Field Zone. You have ways to get out of it. You can do things because you sort of rely on your banish pile anyways, and you only need 2 cards. The Yu-Gi-Oh is so fast right now that you only need these 2 cards. Any more and you start to brick. And Microcosmos will stall your opponent enough to the point where you have them in your hand. So Microcosmos stalls and just straight up stops them, and these cards recycle. It's bonkers. And the last tech I'm running is Skill Drain. So, Psy-Frame, as I said in the beginning of the video, one of the biggest issues I have with the back row at all is Psy-Frames is because the monster effects, like White Spirit Dragon and Slip Rider, they just cause me to murder my insides. This card isn't out to it, as is this card isn't out to it as well, as is Gamma. I just want things to stop them. And Skill Drain just makes my Psy-Frame lords big beaters, and with big beaters I can beat over them with 53, like 5,000 to 5,300 attack monsters, and it hurts Wind That Rabbit a little bit, but I can always just get rid of it with Overload if I really need to, which you'll be surprised how often you banish your own cards with Overload. Like, your opponent stops you by like making one of your combos don't go off. You just banish it with Overload. Yay! I have so much card draw power anyways, I don't really care. So, extra deck. It's super self-explanatory. Michael isn't out for stuff like Royal Decree and Imperial Iron Wall. Imperial Iron Wall is weird. It's so weird. You can't use Overload, which is the main reason why I hate it. Overload is the reason why Psy-Frames work. So, and people don't main it, which is great, because if they're a good player, you know they're going to side it, so what you do is you don't use Overload until they activate it, and then you chain Overload and banish it, and then all of a sudden they're like, well, there goes my tech against you. Anyways, Michael isn't out to cards that you can't that you can't banish. Oh, no. Actually, he's not out to Imperial Iron Wall. He's out to other stuff, but not Imperial Iron Wall. I forgot he banishes. My bad. Black Rose Moonlight Dragon. I didn't used to run this, but then Blue Eyes became a thing. So now I'm like beta into Moonlight Rose Dragon. Return that alternative. Every time it's just great. It's great. What else? Oh, Black Rose Dragon. So if they're playing a super combo heavy deck, and what you do is you wait to use one of your level 1 tuners, so Beta or Alpha. You don't wait to use Beta, you use it on the first deck. On Alpha, you know they're a super combo heavy deck, so you keep track in your head what they've done, what they can do, and you time it to where they have the most efficient fields of Black Rose. So you send Alpha, you search out another Circuit or another Overload if you have one of them already in hand. You Black Rose the field, boom, end turn, on your turn, set. Activate Circuit with 2 or 3 cards in hand, end turn. They're like, see, the thing with Psy-Frames, you want to make sure you have card advantage. You always want them to think you have a beta in hand. So what you do is you have to make sure you use beta correctly. You don't just use it every single time they attack. Always use it on their highest attack monster, on the monster that will give you the most trouble. If they're a smart player, they won't attack with them, which means you're effectively stalling them by making them not attack. Brilliant strategy. That's what you want to do with beta. You don't just destroy the first one they do. You keep drawing cards while you stall with these other cards until they get a big enough. It's like, okay, I have to beta, and it's a lot of strategy. Okay, side deck. We're probably going for like 30 minutes. This is bad. It's okay though. I don't really care. You get to listen to a lot of no copyright sound music. So Maxi, I side added principle. I don't know why. what I should side is 2 Cybrand Dragons and a Chimera Tech is what I should side. It's pretty great against Cosmos and ABCs, I guess. Yeah, it's actually really good against ABCs. Huh. Well, maybe I should do that. That'd be pretty cool. Just side the 3rd Ghost Reaper. I don't know why. I don't want to run 3 on my main deck, then I'll run over 40 cards. If I was running my 60 card Psy-Frame deck, which I will show in a later video, I'll show every consecutive Psy-Frame deck I currently have. And actually, I could have made this video better simply by recording just the Yu-Gi-Oh thing, but you know, I'm not that professional yet. I don't want to be super professional. It would take away from aesthetic. Spell Shattering Arrow. Screw all pendulums. It doesn't target. It's free 1500 damage. Like Skyers, Monkey Board, Search, or like the Pot of Greed guys. Activate the last guy. Spell Shattering Arrow. Boom! No Pot of Greed for you. Because they're continuous spells, they won't go off. So it's like, well then, that just happened. Yeah, it's great. Prohibition. This card will just middle finger every single deck that relies on a single card. For Blue Eyes, that's White Spirit Dragon. You get rid of White Spirit Dragon, all of my back row is safe. The only out they have is Twin Twizzers. And I can negate Twin Twizzers with Delta. Technically I can negate their White Spirit Dragon with Gamma too. But I would prefer to have Prohibition on White Spirit Dragon and as opposed to Twin Twisters because they can't switch out Twin Twisters. Master Restrict, Monarchs, it's there out of principle. Yeah. I actually have the really cool and the band played on. This card is my anti everything. I can side it against XYZ Blue Eyes if I know they're not playing the Mausoleum build, they're playing the Arc Bar build. I can run and the band played on. I can play it against Burning Abyss, Phantom Knights, any rank 4 deck, and all of a sudden they're like, shoot. And actually, in my real life deck, I do not have a skill drain. I currently do not have a skill drain because everybody who I've been trying to get to, they can't find theirs. So I actually main deck a Anti-Spell Fragrance, and I'm undecided about that right now because I love main deck Anti-Spell Fragrance. Skill Drain is out to a lot more problems though. Yeah. Anyways, that was my Psy-Frames. I will be uploading videos about how I play this deck in a little bit. I will be uploading consecutive videos, hopefully pretty soon. As I said, I don't want this to be super professional. It would pain my heart. You guys are cool people. You don't want me to be all like, oh, this is the best card, this is the way you should play it. This is my personal Psy-Frames and why I would run it this way. Whenever the new stuff comes out, like Pot of Cupidity, which I will be showing my other 3 Psy-Frame decks, and I will be playing them. Like, I'll play a few games and commentate them. Not replays, I'll play them live. I'm getting better at commentating. I've been practicing a lot, but not uploading stuff. So I hope to see you guys in future videos. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the salt.